And we are recording, so we're live. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we're not live. So sorry. Anyway, welcome to another Photoshop party. We're going to talk about Adobe Camera Raw and how to tweak images using Camera Raw, which is kind of weird. There's a couple ways to do it. This is a unique way that Colin Smith showed. For those who don't follow Colin Smith, he is an amazing Photoshopper and does some good work teaching as well. So he is one you want to follow, and he puts out a weekly, like anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes worth of Photoshop news and shows you how to do things, and it's really good. So there's my plug for Colin Smith. And I guess I'm ready to get ready. So let's hit the share screen, go into Photoshop. And as you can see, that is so weird how that does that. Everybody can see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. Yep. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this from daylight into a nighttime scene using Adobe Camera Raw, which, okay, it works. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy layer. So Command J or Control J, really easy. And I'm going to convert it to a smart object. The fastest way to convert to a smart object is right click on mine where it's blue, that layer, just right click on it, go down to convert to smart object, or you can click on the drop down menu and do the same exact thing, convert to smart object. You can tell it's a smart object as it has a little smart object and the icon on your layer panel right there. So that tells you it is a smart object. The pros and cons of smart objects: number one, you can redo filters over and over and over. If you don't like the way the filter comes out the first time around, you can change it. You're not going to hurt anything changing it each time. The drawbacks to having a smart object is it takes up a lot of memory. When you start having multiple smart objects building, it starts eating up your memory really fast, and it makes it a huge file. So let's go ahead and go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and we have Camera Raw Filter going. The way that Colin Smith showed how to do this was he used a radial filter, which is on the right-hand side now. It used to be across the top, but Photoshop had to change everything and make it hard to find. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this light bulb, and I'm going to put the filter over the light that's on the side of the building. And what used to be inside and outside, if you're using the old version of Camera Raw, it'll say outside or inside. What we're doing is outside, or on the new version of Camera Raw, you have what's called invert. So what I'm doing is inverting what's going to be handled by Camera Raw. Sorry, I lost my train of thought as I was letting somebody into the room. And you can see as I drop the exposure down, like let's go 2.25. So let's up arrow 2.25. And as I make this bigger, you can see that the area where we started is still light, but the area where we're going to is not. I'm going to turn off the feather a little bit to make it a little bit more obvious. So what we did is I clicked on invert, so everything outside of where I'm going, which is the light, is being darkened because I dropped the exposure down. So let me bring my feather back up to make it look semi-nice. make it a little bit smaller. And you can make things longer with an oval, or do the same thing to the side, make it longer with an oval. Or if you hold the shift key down, the shift key will keep it constrained, just like the transform tool used to be. So I think to make this look more nighttime looking, I'm going to drop the color temperature down. About 79 should do it. And maybe a little bit more on the exposure. And now there's a light back over here that I want to turn on as well. So I will click out of invert. Whoa. Okay. I need to add a new filter or add a new radial. And I'm learning. Okay. Go back to, I want a new filter.
Do you have to hit OK on that one to complete that and then do another one?
I shouldn't have to. There should be an add new, which, wow. Okay, that should do it. And now I clicked off invert, because what I'm going to do is go back to the light back here on the wall. And I'm going to add exposure this time. And let's take the feather down so you can see what we're doing. We'll make it a little bit bigger.
Mike,
Yes.
I'm trying to log in on the computer versus my cell phone so I can follow. Can you let me in?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Go. You're welcome. I'm having trouble enough doing this, and you want me to let you in now?
I know, huh? It's really hard to see on my cell phone.
I understand. Okay. With this, I'm going to change the color balance of that light from blue, and I'm going to take it to more of a yellow. Bring the exposure down a little bit. And feather it back up again. And you can see as you're doing this, the feather aha, I see what I did. And all you got to do is find the lights wherever they are on the street and just turn them on little by little. And as they get smaller in the background, what you need to do is kind of zoom in a little bit, and then also, that's not even a light, but we're going to make it a light. And I am going to paint some light into the windows up here. So I'm going to make my brush smaller. And just like using a brush in Photoshop, if you use the right or left bracket keys, which are right next to the letter P, you can make everything smaller or bigger. The flow right now is at 50%. I'm going to take it down to about 25, just so it's not pouring paint in there. And just kind of brush it in a little bit to make the window.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
How are you getting now the new additions each time?
Right now I switched to the brush, but when I was in the radial tool, the radial filter, all I had to do was click on a new area.
Oh, okay.
that's what I had to figure out how to do that, which it wasn't doing it for me, which is weird. Okay, let me go into the brush again. And I'm just kind of painting in the windows a little bit, raising my exposure a little, and then also I'm going to raise the shadow a little bit as well, less shadow, so that it makes it look like the lights are on. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of glow around the window. I'm going to add a little bit here as well. And a little bit on this light. And then what I want to do is add a little bit of light down below from this light onto the wall. So it looks like it's being lit up by this lamp that's on the side there. And you're going to have a little bit here as well from this lamp. And then also the lamp that I put in here, what we can do is add a little bit of light under the street. And a little bit of light under the street here.
Mike, how do you have one light white and the other one yellow?
That's how it started. And what I'm going to have to do is click OK for this and then change this to a yellowish light.
Okay.
So I'll go into, well, actually going back into Camera Raw is not going to fix it. I'm going to have to paint it in Photoshop when I get in there.
Okay. It looks cool.
So let's go ahead, B for brush. And I'm going to add a new layer above the smart object. So B for brush, and let's sample this yellow. It's more of a green. So I want to take it more towards the yellow side. And I want to make it nice and warm. So let's do a warmer one. And I'm going to go about 10% opacity. And let's try color dodge, see how that works on the, nope, didn't work. Let's try color. Make sure I'm using a soft brush so I can get the glow around there. There we go. That gets the warm tone back in again. Yeah, we'll go back to Camera Raw real quick. I want the sign that is hanging right here, I want it to look like it's being lit by somebody or something. So I'm going to go into my radial adjustment, go into brush. Well, let's try radial adjustment. Hold the shift key down so it gets a little bigger. Feathers at 61. Let's go exposure up. Warming tone. Now, sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to be doing when I do these, and I just kind of experiment as I go. That got lit a little bit better. I'm going to bring it down to the other sign down below it. So I'm going to hold the Option and drag it down. And it didn't do what I wanted to. It should have just made a new one. Of course, it doesn't do what you want it to. So just click on it, make a new one there. Click on that, make a new one there.
Okay.
And then I'm going to raise the exposure just a little bit and then warm it up a little bit more there. Raise the shadows a little bit on that one. Raise the shadow a little bit on that one. And then I'm going to go with my brush and just kind of paint in like somebody's shining some light in there. So you can take a daytime picture. This is before, and this is after, to make it look nighttime.
Mike,
Yes,
on the windows, we've got a problem though, because what you have is the frames are being illuminated,
correct.
but the windows inside. So is there a way to invert that so you get the black of the window itself becoming the light part?
There probably is. I just raised the shadow in there when I did that. I am not sure how I would do that for sure. I'd have to go in and play with it.
Maybe that's something that you'd have to do in Photoshop, to go in and select an area and paint it. The windows themselves, the glass themselves.
Yeah, I would have to go and paint like this dark area here.
Right.
I would probably have to go into Photoshop and paint those in, because even just raising the shadow or the blacks doesn't quite do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can do in Camera Raw. There's other things that, like, nope, it ain't happening. And what I would do with the sky up here is I am going to drop my feather way down, and I'm going to drop the exposure down, and I'm going to turn on my mask options. That's not what I want. I don't want the radial. I want the brush. Thank you. And I'm going to auto mask. And if you pretty much stay within the lines, you're good to go. You can go over a little bit and it will auto mask for you. So we'll drop the feather down a little bit. And if you don't like what you did, you just hit the erase button, which is right next to the brush. Erase from selected adjustment. I'm going to drop my feather down so I can paint with the finer edge brush here. Flows at 60, let's go 100 and just paint out what I painted in. And then I made a little oopsie right here, so we'll just go ahead and clean it up. And I'm working with a mouse instead of a Wacom tablet. And that made the ugliest looking sky.
And it looks like what our skies look like right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And to bring up my image from really small to full screen, I just hit Command or Control 0, Command plus to go up one more size, and just kind of drop the feather down and go in and make sure we paint in right along the edges so you can't tell too much that we cheated in the sky. Make a really small brush to get into the cracks and crevices here. And there probably should be a little light at the end of the tunnel down there. Oops, I want a brand new brush. So let's go ahead and click on there. Click back here. We'll paint just to get it started. Command Z, feather, a whole bunch, size. I'll just kind of lighten it up a little bit there. And it wants to go back to the sky again. It's crying back to mommy. There we go, drop. And click OK. And we turn off everything but the background layer, which is our beginning layer. To do that, I'm going to click on the eye, but before I click on the eye, I am going to hold the Option key, Option click, and it takes just that layer now is what you're seeing. If I hold the Option key again, it brings back all the layers. Or you can just drag your cursor down along all the eyes or eyeballs, whatever you want to call them, to turn them on and off. To me, Option click, and I see this is a doorway that can be lit up pretty good. So let's go ahead, go back into Camera Raw filter, go to I might want to zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Make a nice skinny doorway there. Bring my exposure up a little bit. Bring my color temperature nice and warm. Playing with the hue doesn't go the way I want it to. And you can drag, you've already painted in there, and now you can drag the sliders around to add colors to it or to brighten the highlights or the shadows, bring it up a little bit. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and paint in this little thing at the end of the hallway. And I don't like that color it's showing. There we go. And you kind of got to talk to yourself while you're doing this or have a lot of music in the background to keep you from going insane. A lot of times it's just playing and so before, after. And that's using the Camera Raw tool. I would probably do a lot of this work in Photoshop. Just, it seems to work better for me. So back to Camera Raw again, and back to my radio filter.
Is there anything Camera Raw that allows us to specify the color temperature?
You have selective edits up here above exposure. And so you have your temperature slider that you can go warmer or cooler. So in the beginning, when I took everything down to that blue tone, I I took the temperature slider to the left to go to the cool tones, and then warming up the lights, I'm using to the right to get the warmer temperatures.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and do the filter here. We'll make it a little bit bigger. So shift key and then skinny it up a little bit. A little taller. And we'll warm it up. Yeah, I've been messing with the hue, so I screwed it up big time. And sometimes just a little hint is like adding garlic to it. So it looks like there's a light above there somewhere shining in. I don't know where the light came from. I'm sure the judges would be able to explain that to me. And then I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to hit Command Option Shift E or Control Alt Shift E, which brings up a new layer for me with everything in it. And I'm going to go to Filter, Skylum Software, Luminar 4. I may have to lighten down the sky to pull this off, but we'll see. And let's go to Creative, Sky Replacement, select a sky, and we'll go to,
Mike, we're not seeing the Skylum.
okay. You will in a second when you see the results. I'd have to do it on my, need to change the share on this, but you can see what it did there.
That's different. Yeah.
So let me go back, Command Z, and stop share. Go back to share again. We'll do desktop so you can see everything that's doing. You can see my desktop again. See a big gray square there?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yes.
Yeah, we see a big gray square.
That is Photoshop playing games. If I hit zoom and zoom out or zoom in, my
Now-
picture comes back. And if anybody could ever explain that to me, I'd be a happy camper. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go to Filter, Skylum Software, Luminar 4. It takes a while for the plugin to start. I'm going to click on Creative, Sky Replacement, Sky Selection, and I forget which one I did. Was it Starry Night 2? Yeah, that'll work. Or you can do Starry Night 1, which gets the weird color, which doesn't work in this scene. Galaxy 2. Yeah, I'll do Galaxy 2. We'll do that one. Apply and wait. So when you see skies in pictures that look too good to be true, they probably are. So let's go into my brush. I'm going to put it in screen mode at 10%. And what I can do is paint in the window panes here. And again, I'm using my mouse and not my Wacom tablet, so the accuracy is a lot less. But you can see it makes a difference painting in there like that. Paint in one pane. So if you wanted to make a difference with the lighting, you can paint it into the windows, and then paint your lights in. Maybe paint a little bit more in that area, and just kind of add highlights where you think they need to be if you want to paint in the windows and stuff. So that was on request of Sandra Harris, and she didn't even make it in today. Bummer. And then once you get it finished like that, you go to Actions, go to Image Comp Frames, click Play. And obviously my strokes are a little bit bright, but just made a print comp image out of it. Okay, Tim, go ahead and score it. 76, 75.
You don't want to know.
Return to sender.
DQ'd, DQ'd.
I'll give you an A for effort, but that's as far as I go.
Yeah. An E for effort or D for effort?
I'll give you an A for effort.
Okay, cool.
Tim, with regard to utilizing the sky like that from Skylum, does that influence where you can enter an image?
Absolutely. That would have to go into the artist rather than the photographic open. If you created those, if you had an element of the Milky Way and you wanted to put in an image and you took all the shots photographic open, but if you're using an element from another source other than your own, it goes into the artist category.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it would not work in illustrative because it's not your work.
Right.
It will not work in photojournalism because
Nope.
you've added everything in there. So a lot of people get confused when it comes time for photojournalism, the things you can do to it. You cannot add or subtract anything from the scene other than dust spots.
We're going to have a class here in the middle of September talking about exactly those things as everybody gets ready for IPC. Is
And
Mel still there?
Yes, I am. I'm going to post that link in the chat in just 1 second. I'm pulling it up now as we speak.
you sent out an email on that today or yesterday? I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it went out yesterday.
Well, not yesterday. Cool. Any other questions? Okay, there's the link in chat. Cool. And Jim Trapp put a little bit of work putting this program together for the image competition workshops. So thank him when you see him. No other questions? God, you
I have
guys
a
are too easy.
question on the Skylum software.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any of your own Milky Way images or night sky stuff that you have used that to enhance?
I have not. What that does, it adds the Milky Way to the image.
Okay, so that's not one to enhance your own Milky Way.
Correct. The Luminar 4 is not. Skylum has a software. Let me share screen,
Sky
desktop.
Stacker? No, that wouldn't be it.
Okay, you can see what my screen is doing. Does anybody remember the days of old when
It'll get there.
I think I can. I think I can.
I got an idea. Command W. Goodbye. Let's go ahead.
And F.
I gotta see if I can find it really fast for you. I'm not a Dan Holmes person, so it takes me a while to find things on my computer.
Me too.
I don't do Lightroom.
All that cataloging stuff, huh?
Yeah. Okay, let's do this. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, so image size, so we can work on it faster. Let's go down to 2,500 pixels wide. Cool. So what I'll do is I will go into Filter, Skylum, Aurora HDR,
HDR, okay.
and I should have made a copy layer for doing this. It will add grain to you and do all kinds of stuff, but it enhances your images. And you can pick the one that works the best.
Okay.
HDR denoise, smooth it out a little bit to get rid of some of the graininess. Click OK, and wait, and wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. So you can see the after and the before, just doing it one quick click. It enhanced the stars up there. It adds a little bit of noise on a dark image especially, but you can see the enhancements that it did. And that's just a really one click kind of deal, really fast.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
I have a question. That sky replacement, it seemed like
Uh-huh.
it was a filter or an app or something. What was that?
It was a filter.
Sky Dome?
Here you go. Let me,
Skylum.
I'm looking.
Skylum,
Skylum. Okay.
Skylum. Hang on one second. Let me get a file open really quick to
All right. Skylum.
open.
Yes. Luminar 4.
Luminar 4. I think it's like $49. It's not too expensive.
It's in the chat also.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Thank you, Mel.
Mel's on it.
He is. He's like got his stuff together, unlike me. Okay, I'm going to go to
Someone
filter.
has to.
Go to filter, Skylum, Sky, L-U-M software. Luminar 4 does the skies. So I'm going to bring that up and we'll put a sunset on here just for fun. I think, I don't know.
Maybe.
If it
I might
opens.
put clouds up there. I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing with that though is it would be really nice if you could scroll from sky to sky without having to go back and take it off and then putting it on.
Yeah, that one kind of,
Yep.
Someday they'll figure that part out.
Mm-hmm.
and this one's too bright of a sky, so it's not going to work on that. Quit, yes. Shut that one down. Command W, don't crop, goodbye, don't save. Let's see, house. I'm just going to open up a raw image. I'm not going to enhance it or any way. Make it smaller, 4x6, so it'll work faster. Skylum, Luminar. And the one thing about the HDR software, it will show your dust spots really well.
Oh.
Pick dramatic sunset. And click apply. If you look at some of the, I mean, that's like a little overdone. Now we have to tone down the grass area, but you can really do some really dramatic stuff. And there are some telltale signs right in this area here, the fringing. If you look at real estate photos, a lot of them drop in this nice, beautiful, purplish, pinkish, orange sky. And it's the same sky in every picture that they do.
Oh my gosh.
You can tell what they did. So let's undo that one and go to
Michael-
filter. Yes.
Michael, can you put your own skies in the Luminar software, or is it only their choices?
I think you can put your own skies in. And I think
Yeah.
You can, in fact, use your own skies.
I have done that.
Okay.
Mike, if you go into like you're going to add a sky, so click on and that creative, go into AI sky replacement. Okay, and then sky selection, go down to the very bottom, and that's where
Load
you
custom sky image.
right there.
Okay.
Just make note that it's loading it. It is not importing it. So every time you use it, you have to go back out to Finder and load it again. Kind of a pain in the butt because every time you try a different sky, if it's your own sky, you have to go through the whole process.
It won't keep the
Nope.
library of them?
Nope. And
So
I
is there
emailed
anything else
customer
besides-
service and all that, and they said, no, we haven't gotten there yet.
So besides this Skylum, is there anything else that is, that's easy to replace a sky with?
Photoshop.
Yeah, besides that.
You could do it yourself.
Yeah, I'm just not good at that.
Or just wait till you get a good sky, then shoot.
Let's see. Sunset. No, that's not going to work.
Ooh.
Let me try sun. I didn't undo it. Never mind. That ain't going to work. Yep. Those are raw files. I haven't processed them yet. When we had all the smoke up here, I shot the sun and
How many options are there in Skylum?
you got all these for sky replacement.
Okay.
And then
With the artistic ones.
augmented sky. You got cloud. So let's do cloud 5.
That just adds individual clouds is what that side does.
That one added. And I don't know where the,
So augmented adds single elements.
so don't save. Okay. Any other questions?
No?
Okay, how about, let me